CIA documents claims astronauts used telepathy to back up their electronic equipment while they were in space. This is by Arjun Walia in Collective Evolution. Well, I never thought this was possible. In brief, the facts say the document found inside the CIA's electronic reading room goes into detail regarding several telepathy experiments performed successfully decades ago by both US and Soviet astronauts. With decades of statistically strong results in the lab and so many real-world examples, why is this topic still shunned by mainstream academia? And why is it studied at the highest level of government in multiple countries if it's fake? Quote, the Soviet Union is well aware of the benefits and applications of parapsychology research. In 1963, Kremlin edict apparently gave top priority to biological research, which in Russia includes parapsychology. The major impetus behind the Soviet drive to harness the possible capabilities of telepathic communication, telekinetics, and bionics is said to come from the Soviet military and the KGB. Today, it's reported that the USSR has 20 or more centers for the study of parapsychological phenomena, with an annual budget estimated in 1976 at over $13 million, and reported to be as high as $21 million. Soviet parapsychology research was actually stimulated by the 1960 French story concerning the U.S. atomic submarine Nautilus. The French journalist splashed the now rather infamous Nautilus story in headlines, quote, U.S. Navy uses ESP on atomic sub, end quote. Ship-to-shore telepathy, according to the French, blipped along nicely even when the Nautilus was far underwater. Quote, is telepathy a new secret weapon? Will ESP be a deciding factor in future warfare? The speculative French sensationalized, has the American military learned the secret of mind power? In Leningrad, the Nautilus reports went off like a depth charge in the mind of L.L. Vasilev, end quote. So the above information comes from the declassified CIA document, and if you click here on the link, you'll be able to see that document. It goes on to mention that in April of 1960, Dr. Leonid Leonidovich Vasiliev addressed a group of high-ranking Soviet scientists stating, we carried out extensive and until now completely unreported investigations under the Stalin regime. Today, the American Navy is testing telepathy on their atomic submarines. Soviet scientists conducted a great many successful telepathy tests over a quarter of a century ago, and it's urgent that we throw off our prejudices. We must again plunge into exploration of this vital field. So as you can see, telepathy and parapsychology, which include remote viewing, ESP, and psychokinesis, have all been studied in depth within black budget special access programs in multiple countries. These programs are often highly classified, and so whatever has been revealed in official documentation is only the tip of the iceberg. Sometimes the declassification of documents is used to halt more questioning into the phenomenon. The Stargate program is an example of that in the United States. All of the documents that were declassified show some startling findings, like the fact that remote viewing is real and that it was used for intelligence collecting purposes. It's safe to assume that many details of this program remain highly classified. Russell Targ was a co-founder of that program, and here's a video of him sharing everything he knows about ESP. You can see that on a link. The crazy thing about parapsychology is the fact that studies have yielded statistically significant results. I'm talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of studies that have been conducted worldwide have seen positive results. There seems to be a deep concern that the whole field will be tarnished by studying the phenomenon that is tainted by its association with superstition, spiritualism, and magic. Protecting against this possibility sometimes seems more important than encouraging scientific exploration or protecting academic freedom. But this may be changing. This is what Cassandra Vieten, PhD and President and CEO of Institute of Noetic Sciences, says. Many of these results are just as strong, if not stronger, than a lot of the results that come from hard sciences like physics and mechanical engineering. The Department of Defense has openly stated that the phenomena within this realm is real, despite the fact that they are still somewhat inexplicable. As far back as 1999, the head of the Statistics Department at University of California at Irvine, Jessica Woods, published a paper showing the results dealing with parapsychology and mind-body connections are a lot stronger than the results used to approve some of our medications. Again, most of what's known is still protected and locked up in the black budget world. The documents referred about also decades old, so just imagine what's happened or what's been discovered since then. The document also outlined how these experiments were not limited to Earth. Soviet research into biocommunications phenomena does not appear to be earthbound and limited to inner space, but apparently extends to outer space as well. The so-called father of Soviet rocketry, K.E. Tsiolkovsky, stated that, quote, "In the coming era of space flights, telepathic abilities are necessary. While the space rocket must bring men towards knowledge of the grand secrets in the universe, the study of psychic phenomena can lead us towards knowledge of the mysteries of the human mind is precisely the solution of this secret, which promises the greatest achievements." And there are reports that the Soviets are training their cosmonauts in telepathy to back up their electronic equipment while in outer space. One of these backup schemes is known to involve coded telepathic messages. This method was previously demonstrated in March of 1967 when a coded telepathic message was flashed from Moscow to Leningrad. The involvement of astronauts or cosmonauts in telepathy experiments is not necessarily unprecedented. In February 1971, during the Apollo 14 flight to the moon, astronaut Edgar Mitchell made 150 separate attempts to project his thoughts from inside the space capsule back to an individual on Earth. The results of the Apollo 14 experiment have been well documented in detail and are published in the Journal of Parapsychology. Mitchell used 25 numbered cards in the experiment in which he attempted to send a thought message to 4 people regarding the symbols on each card. He said 2 of the 4 got 51 of the 200 correct, and the other 2 were less successful. Dr. Elizabeth Roscher, a world-renowned physicist, researcher, and presenter who has done a lot of work for NASA, among several other organizations, has admitted that quantum entanglement experiments have also successfully been carried out from Earth to space. And you have stronger examples, much stronger examples. Some materialistically inclined scientists and philosophers refuse to acknowledge these phenomena because they are not consistent with their exclusive conception of the world. Rejection of post-materialist investigation of nature or refusal to publish strong science findings supported a post-materialist framework are antithetical to the true spirit of scientific inquiry, which is that empirical data must always be adequately dealt with. Data which do not fit favorite theories and beliefs cannot be dismissed a priori, and such dismissal is a realm of ideology and not science, says Dr. Gary Schwartz, professor of psychology, medicine, neurology, psychiatry, and surgery at the University of Arizona. And you can see the source there as well. So although the above-mentioned phenomena is very intriguing, especially the Soviet part, we have to remember that there is still a lot of information that has not been disclosed yet. This is not really studied openly in the mainstream academia yet. It's only really studied at the highest levels of government. I published a well-sourced article providing multiple examples from a CIA document that confirm the existence of humans with special abilities who are able to do impossible things. You can access that here, and there's a link there. It's very interesting and goes to show how strong results in the field of parapsychology are and what information may still be kept hidden from us. Today, hundreds of scientists are coming together to emphasize that physical matter is not our only reality. They're creating a manifesto, and you can find links and access more information about this initiative, which started a few years ago in the article we published here, and you can see that link. there is an entire non-physical world out there for us to study. Quote, the day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in one decade than in all the previous century of its existence. End quote. And that is a Nikola Tesla quote from Nikola Tesla. The point is that this stuff is very real and has been studied for a long time. Here's an interesting quote from the literature regarding remote viewing. One subject within the realm of parapsychology allows a person to view other people or objects in different locations regardless of the distance. And here's a telling quote from some of the declassified literature. Quote, to summarize, over the years, the back and forth criticism of protocols, refinement of methods, and successful replication of this type of remote viewing in independent laboratories has yielded considerable scientific evidence for the reality of the remote viewing phenomena. Adding to the strength of these results was the discovery that a growing number of individuals could be found demonstrate high-quality remote viewing, often to their own surprise. The development of this capability at SRI has evolved to the point where visiting CIA personnel with no previous exposure to such concepts have performed well under controlled laboratory conditions. End quote. One participant of the program, remote viewer Ingo Swan, was tasked with the job of taking a look at what could be going on off the planet. Dr. Puthoff explains, quote, to determine whether it was necessary to have a beacon individual at the target site, Swan suggested carrying out an experiment to remote view the planet Jupiter before the upcoming NASA Pioneer 10 flyby. In that case, much to his chagrin and ours, he found a ring around Jupiter and wondered if perhaps he had remote viewed Saturn by mistake. Our colleagues in astronomy were quite unimpressed as well, until the flyby revealed that an anticipated ring did in fact exist. End quote. Takeaway. Why do we still ridicule parapsychology? It's correlated with quantum physics, and it seems to be the next logical step for science. The fact that this type of study is not included within mainstream media is truly a shame, and it's not fair that government agencies are the only ones who seem to be actively and heavily engaged in this type of study. At the end of the day, no skeptic can deny the reality of parapsychological phenomena. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.